Good evening. Welcome to the Chandler City Council meeting of Thursday, July 12th, 2018. I want to welcome everybody to the council meeting and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mayor Tripp Trainee.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember McClymans.
Here.
Councilmember Rowe.
I'm here.
Councilmember Wong.
Yep.
Councilmember Hartke.
Here.
Councilmember Stewart.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The invocation this evening will be led by Pastor Lisa Spittle with Compass Christian Church. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Hartke. Pastor.
Let's pray. Father God, I want to thank you for today and thank you for this this day and this season that we're in with the rain. It's been refreshing. God, I just ask that you give wisdom and guidance to these men and women as they make decisions today. Father, I just thank you for calling them as leaders for our city. I ask that you be with them as they make decisions and have discussions that in all of this that will bring you glory and honor. It's in your son's precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Councilmember Hartke. Council, the next item on the agenda this evening is the consent agenda. I do want to note on item number 3, staff, as a follow-up to our discussion on Monday evening, staff has a memo here recommending that we continue this to August 9th, 2018 meeting so that they can get the agreement with the neighborhood finished up. So in the motion on the consent agenda, if you could include changing item 3 to a continuance to the August 9th meeting, that would be very good. So, Council, what's your pleasure on the consent agenda? Council Member Rowe.
Mayor.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda for Thursday, July 12th, consent items number 1 through 30.
With item 3?
With a continuance on item 3. Yes.
To August 9th.
Until August 9th. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rowe, second by Councilmember Stewart. Council, I do have one speaker card on one of these agenda items. That would be on item, and I did have Pat McDermott weighing in on item 3. I think we've taken care of your issue with the continuance, so thank you for bringing that to our attention. Item 4, Mr. Jeff McHatton. Jeff, if you want to come up and give us your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes to weigh in on this.
My name is Jeff McHatton. I reside at 1730 West Zaragoza Street in Chandler, Arizona, 85224. Thank you for the opportunity to address this council and explain my concerns surrounding the requested rezoning for this 35-acre parcel. My wife and I purchased our home better than 3 years ago, and we are part of this community, and that I operate a mortgage branch as a regional manager for a mortgage lender here in Chandler. I have 2 concerns with this requested rezoning. The carte blanche approach that it takes to the entire 35 acres with allowing the entire site for building heights up to 90 feet is, in my view, an irresponsible approach for the good of the community. I understand the requirement that is stated of additional building approval processes for other buildings to be constructed, but with the granting of this application, the precedent that is created with this approval is concerning, and that this is not downtown Chandler, which is substantially commercial. This is predominantly a residential community with healthcare businesses operating in conjunction with a hospital. I believe the overall attitude of the hospital is quietly disclosed in the statement that they make in favor of the parking garage in memo number PZ 18-044, page 2 under discussion, where it is stated that The expansion of the mid-rise overlay allows a hospital to examine growth options without having to go through the exercises of keeping development within a limited envelope. The layout and the design of the parking garage takes advantage of maximizing the future development of the campus by providing a buffer for the residential developments east of the site from the potential of building heights exceeding 90 feet. Additionally, with the deep setback and enhanced landscape screening, the massing of the structure will be softened. That's end of quote. With this statement, they are indicating and implying that they are not at all done with this construction process and that there is clear intention for further development of its already overdeveloped property. This is further supported by the fact that the hospital just today applied for Tower D. With the garage at this location, they can support the Tower D that they want to build. By building the garage, they are assuming the Tower D will be approved. They also make it sound like building a 5-story parking garage at this location is better than building a 90-foot building. I don't disagree with that statement, but then my opinion is a lesser of two evils, but still an evil. There is, in my opinion, so much presumption going on with this site. I remind you that the traffic in this area is already problematic because of the school traffic that comes in the morning and the shift changes that take place at the hospital. If this were a predominantly commercial area, this would not be a problem, but this is not the complexion of the neighborhood. This is where people live and walk their dogs at the parks and try to enjoy the views of the beautiful Arizona sunsets, not views of parking garages and 90-foot buildings. I have spoken with a number of property owners in the area, and frankly, I have not found anyone that think this project is a good idea, and has stated that there will be problems associated with this development in the future. You might be asking yourself, well, if they are concerned, then where are they? Without exception, every one of them, some of whom have lived in this area since it was developed originally, stated that this is a losing battle. The hospital and their influence is too strong and that this has already been approved. I'm hoping that this is not true and that a single property owner may be able to make a difference. I stated that my concerns were twofold. My second concern is that forcing all of the hospital traffic in through what are essentially residential feeder streets is not good planning. Once again, the school ingress and egress in the surrounding areas were not designed to deal with this kind of traffic. When we suggested an equally appropriate location for the parking garage off of Dobson and Fairview at the neighborhood meeting, it was stated that this was already approved as additional ground parking, and construction started almost immediately thereafter with retention tanks being installed so that the parking spaces could be built. The other defense for this proposed location being better was that with the parking garage, access to the main entrance would be closer, and that would help the elderly patients getting in and out of the hospital. I don't find that this is a valid argument. If I'm bringing an elderly patient to the hospital, I'm likely to drop them off and then go park my vehicle. The other option is to maintain the existing valet service, and then it does not matter. This is a nice feature anyway and would support the hospital's reputation in the community. By putting the parking garage in the location off of Dobson, you are keeping people out of the residential areas and forcing them to stay in the larger thoroughfares in the commercial areas. This is just common sense. It may not fit with the hospital's long-range plans, but then that may be the problem here, and that the long-range plans are not clear, and granting of the mid-rise overlay is not in the best interest of the community. If you decide to approve the parking garage at the location that's been presented, then what is to stop the hospital from building another parking garage off of Dobson and continue to develop hospital buildings, as no one will object to a parking garage at this location as it makes sense to have it here? Could there be a towers E and F in the future? This is why I don't believe it is prudent to give this carte blanche approval. In conclusion, let me state that I appreciate the work that the hospital does and consider it an asset to the community. I would just like to keep it that way, as a community hospital and not a major medical center that belongs in a commercial city area and not a residential area with an elementary school. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor,
Councilmember Hartke.
just related to this issue, I know obviously that when we grant an overlay that everything else continues to still come through us. Could someone explain future buildings and the process of what they would speak to us?
Looks like Eric, if you want to address that.
I know Mr. McCann has used the phrase carte blanche, which almost assumes that anything can happen anywhere. Could you please explain that process, please?
Absolutely. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Councilmember Hartke, you raise a very valid point. From a carte blanche standpoint, it does not get that. And so any sort of future expansion will require going back to that public hearing process, going back out to the neighborhood, going to planning commission, and going to city council. The request for mid-rise overlay, and I'll throw a map up on here. Really the reason why we decided to do it that way, it was under staff's direction, because what we ran into, let's see if we can, there we go. Council may recall that back in 2009, the Tower C expansion came in. At that point in time, there was a request for mid-rise overlay. And what we try to do is develop an envelope that will encompass what that additional building height will be. And we try to be as specific as we can. With that, we just did the outline specifically of the campus. And so what we ran into is that as future expansions come on board, that it just didn't make sense because that envelope was not wide enough in each time. And so what they asked for in working with the hospital was, hey, look, is there a way that we can expand this boundary? What we were going to run into is, okay, if we have an expansion D or E or F and things change in the process, if that line is drawn too tight, then we keep coming back to that process and spinning wheels. And so what we're requesting is that the boundary be expanded for the entire campus. Now, with that being said, any building that comes through the process has that process. It's the public hearing process. So it's not like that's being circumvented. It's just that mid-rise. It gives the hospital a little bit more flexibility in how they design their buildings rather than making sure they don't go up to the line and don't cross it. So it's just from a flexibility standpoint, but it is not a way to circumvent that process and getting out to the neighbors. So I hope that answers that in a long-winded way.
Thank you.
Council, any questions to staff? Thank you. Council, any questions or comments on the consent agenda?
Mayor.
Councilmember Rowe.
Yeah, just very quickly, this is available online, this consent agenda, and any one of you could have picked it up, but once in a while, I just want to mention an item. So item number 12 is an agreement with Electric Cab North America for downtown circulator and ride services, including parking garage, shuttle services for 1 year. And so if you frequent downtown and you notice that sometimes there's some traffic issues, I can assure you that the city is working very hard with the downtown community, downtown Chandler Community Partnership to improve our way for people to get around and to visit the businesses and the restaurants and Sibley's, of course. And so this is just a piece of good news I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, please vote the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda and continue item number 3 to August 9th. Passes unanimously.
Great. Council, the next item on the consent agenda is unscheduled public appearances. Members of the audience may address any item not posted on the agenda. State statute prohibits the city council from discussing an item that is not posted on the agenda, but the council does listen to your concern and have staff follow up on any questions you raise. So at this time, unscheduled public appearances, I did have one that filled out a speaker card, a Ginger Rowley. Ginger Rowley, if you come forward and give us your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes to address the council.
My name is Ginger Rowley. I live at 2727 South Santa Rita Way in Chandler. It's right off of Gilbert and Germain. And my subdivision is right at the very edge of Gilbert. And that's what I'm here to address. There's a zoning change that is being proposed in Gilbert. And although we've attended all of the Gilbert meetings, we feel like the Chandler residents are their concerns are not being addressed or even heard. And so a few of us have reached out to you guys for support or advice. And we're getting the bounce back, with the exception of a few, we're getting the bounce back of just the general stuff that we've already received going to the council meetings and the planning meetings. The proposed changes literally back up to the town of Chandler. So it's like neck and neck. And it's about 40-acre parcel that is currently alfalfa fields. And in the front, it's all zoned business, is that right, business business pad or something business. In the front, they want to change it to light industrial. And in the middle will be multifamily, 350 units, 3 stories high. And that multifamily unit will have no block fence or any barrier between the existing residents that have been there for 10 years. One of the reasons that the landowners requested the change of zoning is because they claim that they've tried to sell it for 10 years and they haven't been able to. According to the tax records, they purchased this land in January of 2008. And unfortunately, everybody in that area, including the residents, have been underwater in the values of their home until last year. The reason that we feel like you guys should assist us in this fight is because this plot of land is in the Chandler School District. And although they claim that they have approached the Chandler School District on it, I personally live in the area and have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I know the conditions of that school. It's Haley Elementary. It's one of your A schools, and we're proud to be in that boundaries. The school is at capacity, and this might be its tipping point. The school has 2 portable buildings sitting in it, and I don't think it has the ability to expand anymore. One of the complaints we had is the signs came up, they went down, they came up, and they refer to this change as Mustang, but on our side, it is Ryan. We would like some assistance. I don't know if there's anything you guys could offer, maybe than just advice and support on how to take them on. The next hearing is on August 2nd. I personally have more issue with the light industrial than the multifamily. I just feel like there's potential carcinogens that could be exposed to long-term residents. I've lived in that neighborhood for 14 years and hope to stay longer. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk, Ms. Rowley has the speaker card here. If you could make a copy of this and distribute it to the entire council, and has her contact information or phone so that anybody on this council could contact her and offer some wisdom and some advice. So,
Yes, Mayor.
thank you. Council, current events, just a couple of announcements. Operation Back to School. I want to thank Council Member Kevin Hartke, city staff, and all the volunteers involved in this event. I will defer to Kevin to provide all of the details when it is his turn to speak, but I did want to personally acknowledge all the hard work and the tremendous benefits this provides our young people as they head back to the classrooms. With that, I would like to note that students do return to school prior to our next council meeting. So they return to school July 23rd. So let's all be a little more careful as we get closer there on our daily commutes as we have kids coming back and forth to school. Did want to give a shout out to staff on the city website. City has launched its redesign of the website this week. The site has been enhanced with graphics and easy to use navigation. It's been a long time in the making. I want to thank all of the folks, Matt Burdock, Shop, Communications and Public Affairs, as well as Information Technology Department for the many long hours that have gone into the transition. I hear we're still doing some transitioning. We ran into a couple IT people in the elevator today. So anyway, appreciate that. I know that's been a monumental task. It's not easy converting a website and doing that, and you guys have done a really good job. You can visit our website at chandleraz.gov. Surf through it, just have some feedback on it. I'm sure Mr. Burdick and staff would welcome that. And then finally tonight, Council, Center for the Arts Free Summer Concert Series, which I'm sure the Vice Mayor is in tune with. The On the House Free Summer Concert Series kicks off Friday, July 27th with Cuatro, an evening of Spanish flamenco guitars, song, and dance. Seats are first come, first served. While the concerts are free, donations are accepted. So I want to thanks to Intel Corporation for sponsoring this great series of affordable entertainment. Wish everybody a safe rest of the summer. We'll be gone for about 4 weeks, I think, but then we'll be back. Councilmember McClymans.
Thanks, sir. The very first Dutch Brothers coffee shop's going to open in Chandler this Saturday, July 14th, from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's located at 3605 West Chandler Boulevard. at Hurstone Way near the Chandler Mall. This will be they'll be celebrating in a very special way on their opening day with the proceeds from every drink sold going to our Chandler Police Department K-9 unit. So go out, get a drink, support a local business, and support our Chandler PD K-9. That's all I got.
I haven't worked with you very long, but I think you're a coffee lover.
Ditto, yes, for sure. Thank you.
Councilmember Rowe.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Listen, it's going to be a long, hot summer. Let's try to enjoy it, stay cool, hydrate. I really want to say to all those shift workers out there, when you're working in the middle of the night and you don't think anybody cares, we care, and we really do appreciate you. And so thank you for keeping the city running while we're all sleeping. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Lopez.
Nothing major, Mayor, but you did mention, the free concert series coming up, and I'm waiting for my first call on cowbell for the first band out there that
More
needs some
cowbell?
cowbell.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting, but hopefully this will
Okay.
be my month.
give it more cowbells, more cowbells.
As much as I can.
Thank you. Councilmember Wong,
I have no announcement today. Thank you, Mayor.
you guys are sick.
Yeah.
Councilmember Hartkey.
I have two. I did have one, but when Councilmember Wong told me he had none, I thought I'd throw in a second. So I want to thank Council. This is, again, as I've announced previously, we're in the middle of a city water drive. This will be used for the back to school event and others in which we're participating. I want to thank Council. Almost all of you have contributed, but to our citizens, we also would appreciate your participation. It gets hot on our streets, and it's always a good opportunity for us to raise money to put together water drives. So thank you for those who have contributed already. Secondly, as the mayor mentioned, we are participating on July 21st on our annual Operation Back to School. I believe this is our 5th or 6th or 7th. Honestly, I lose track. They're always great. They're always fun. This year, we're going to have a DJ who is a former Chandler High School student, works on, I think, radio station 98.3, and excited to have her entertaining the crowds coming back to C-Town to bring her skills and wear. This is one of the greatest volunteer events in our city. We'll have well over 200 volunteers participating in this event. We'll have staff volunteers showing up at 6:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. Here's all of our leads sporting many of the new shirts. Besides contributing over 3,000 stuffed backpacks, we will also be handing out shoes. Uniforms will be given directly to the school districts by groups. We'll have haircuts there, socks and underwear. It's a great event. And if you can picture the joy and relief in parents who are wondering, do they have what it takes to send their children back to school, and being able to stock them for this event, there's always a lot of relief, a lot of joy, and we're very excited about participating once again. We could still use a couple dozen volunteers to cover various shifts from 5:30 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. And you can sign up for this on backtoschoolchandler.org. That'll take you to a sign-up genius. We specifically need Spanish-speaking volunteers to guide families through the distribution lines. And I especially want to thank all of our sponsors and all of the volunteers who have registered, who are going to serve our community well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Good effort. Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Kevin, you can count the Stewart family in as volunteers. We did that last year and it was amazing. And so we're glad to help, and thanks for sharing that with the group. Jeremy, welcome to your first meeting. I'm relieved because now, since I was the youngest, you are now the youngest council member, and now the mayor can pick on you. Thank you. That's all I've got.
Thank you. City Manager.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
With that, meeting adjourned.